And we're back on. We're back live.
So, yes, the reason I am known as White Wolf is getting back to California in 1975. I had this lucid dream, and I didn't really know what a shamanic dream was at that time. I know we raised German Shepherd dogs, but it had nothing to do with the wolves because I didn't have those because they looked like a wolf or anything like that. I don't know where the wolf came from. The wolf came to me in this dream. I will recount it. It shouldn't take very long.
Go ahead.
Okay.
What? Oh, your dream?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is how you got your
You've heard
name.
it so many times.
I'll hear it again.
Okay, here's the dream, 1975. I wake up. In the dream, I wake up, not really awake, because I hear howling. And I get up and I look out the window, and there are these gold-colored drapes. I remember the color, and I looked on the floor, and there's some gold-colored carpeting as well. So I look out the window, and I look to the east. I remember the direction, and there was like a full moon, and it looked like I guess you would say a werewolf form. It was a two-legged, like a man with the wolf's head.
Okay.
Running along with the moonlight in the background. It was silhouetted. No, I had not been looking at any spooky movies.
And you hadn't smoked no weed that
No,
day?
no, not that I know of. No. As I said, my husband was the cook, so I don't know. Sometimes
He might have cooked something.
we never know. So anyway, that was that part of the dream.
Right.
And in the dream, I go back to bed again. Then I am awakened by scratching and whining at the window. So I go over again and open the drapes, and looking directly at me is this white wolf.
Okay.
And he kind of growled at me, and it did not scare me. And I howled at him, and he howled back, and we were both howling at each other through the window. Then the next thing that happened was I find myself in the dream going out of my body, and I'm floating down like a long hallway. And as I go down this hallway, I come to a room which is the kitchen. And on the left-hand side are three old-timers,
Okay.
like ranchers and pioneer types, sitting at this table. And they're mumbling something about, oh yeah, the white wolf is back. Yeah, the legend of that white wolf still goes on. And I keep floating through this kitchen into a larger room, which looks like a living room. I keep on going through another room, and then I go out through a wall and land on my feet outside. Okay. I'm looking to the east, and the moon is still out there.
Okay.
There's a tree to the right, and it's snowing, but only under the tree. And I have no idea why all these things, and they were so clear. In the back to the north were what my mind told me was that there were three Navajo witches. They were taunting me. They were threatening to kill my chickens. And I had no chickens in reality at that time, but this was bothering me because they were laughing about it and they were going to kill my chickens. And I was not happy about that. So I looked to the left, and there's a small shed there. So I walk towards the shed. I come to the corner and look, and there is this white wolf facing me, getting ready to spring at me. And he's just all crouched and ready to come. So I stood my ground. I did not move, and he did. He leapt towards me, and he came to my side, and his ears went back, and that's a gesture of friendship with the wolf. And I started petting him, and he looked up to me, and all of a sudden he was real gentle. And then I felt that he had scars on his face and had been mistreated somehow or other, and I blamed it on the Navajo witches. They had retreated, by the way, the minute he came to me and saw that he was friendly. They left, and I woke up, and it was so vivid a dream. To this day, I can see
still
all of it.
remember.
Yes. So it goes on, and this story does.
Right.
So that was 1975. Okay, 1985, we're looking for property in Arizona. My husband had retired and everything. And we found this place out on Middle Verde Road. over there
In Camp Verde.
in Camp Verde, and it was we still had horses at the time, so we were looking for a place we could have horses, and it was just the right place. It was fenced all around. It didn't dawn on me at that time what I was looking at, because the house was in the same orientation as the one in the dream. The inside had gold drapes. The carpet was gold color.
Okay.
The mesa was to the east.
Right.
All that was missing was the wolf. But I still had, and the little shed, by the way, was there too. It has the well.
And the wolf wasn't missing.
No,
You're it.
no. Here's what happened. We'll see. Okay, my German Shepherd was really old, and she was ill, so
Right.
she had to go to dog heaven.
Okay.
And so we were looking for another German Shepherd, and we went over here to Cottonwood, and looked in the Ad King, and there was this ad for a part Arctic white wolf. And it still didn't dawn on me. This is like 10 years later, lots of things that happened. So we went over here to check it out, and he was at the time a year old, and these people had him since he was 6 months old, and he had mysteriously appeared in Sedona one morning at their relative's house out of nowhere. And they didn't find the owner, couldn't locate anything, so they kept him till he was, I guess, about a year old, and gave him to these people who had a little girl that was 7 years old. And he was becoming very protective of her, and they were concerned about that. They wanted to find a good home for him.
Right.
So he came bounding off the hill down to me, stood up and put his paws on my shoulders.
Oh my gosh.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
And
Did
of
he
course,
talk to you?
being into dog training, I said, and I pushed him, no, this is a wolf you don't do things to. And I didn't think about it at the time because I needed growing. So anyway, so I gave him a push, and I said off, and he said grrr. And then
That's what I said. He was talking to you now.
So then he jumped into the cab of the truck and
Right.
sat there, and he had that wolfy grin on his face, like, let's go. So we adopted him and took him home, and I gave him some obedience lessons. He was with the group, and I started learning that about the wolf, and all of a sudden I was all interested in wolves.
Okay.
And my husband and I belonged to a wolf dog group,
Okay.
wolf hybrid, in Phoenix. And there we met a person by the name of Bobby Holiday, and she was circulating petitions to get the Mexican gray wolf back on its home territory. So we signed several times. He came back and talked and showed some film. And so there were about 40 members of us, and we always signed those petitions to get the Mexican gray wolf back into Arizona.
Right.
So it wasn't until 1999 that they were actually released. Meanwhile, I got all wrapped up in wolves, and I read every book I could find on them, and that's the beginning of the wolf and education.
Okay.
So then, and I was still training dogs as well. So as far as the wolf goes, I remember going to my veterinarian, and we got on the topic of talking about wolves. And he says, there's a lady here, and they have a wolf sanctuary in Rimrock.
Okay.
And I said, oh, there is? And I said, would it be okay if I had her phone number? So we met, and we're still our good friends, and they have 4 wolves out there, full-blooded wolves that she raised from babies.
Right.
And we're still friends, and Brown Feather here knows about her.
Her name is Healing Wolf.
Yes, Healing
and
Wolf.
John.
And John.
And they own this place called Medicine Wheel Lodge.
Right.
And they only have those 4 tundra
That's right.
wolves
Yeah.
there. But they invite people to come up to get
Right.
educated on wolves. And
Right.
so this is how she got her name, because I'll let you finish.
Okay, yes, Healing Wolf decided I needed my name.
Right.
So she did a beautiful ceremony, and she is part Iroquois Indian herself. And it was a wonderful ceremony full of magical happenings the day it happened.
Tell
And
me
you were
about what
there.
was magic now.
Well, what happened, first of all, Brown Feather and Dito, who was her boyfriend, they took their shoes off. And so I thought, well, maybe I should take mine off too. So we were down in this big ceremonial circle.
Medicine wheel.
Yes, the medicine wheel. So I thought that's the proper thing to do. Well, they're so used to going barefooted and everything. They trot off with Healing Wolf, and I'm struggling along on gravel, and I'm not used to walking.
Hurting, right?
But it worked okay. So we got up to a point where Healing Wolf was talking about the wolves she had in the past,
Right.
and where they were buried there on the property, and she was paying tribute to the wolves, and it was just like it was rehearsed. 2 golden eagles came out of the brush on the other side of the creek. I know what they're like because that's another part of my life I didn't talk about. I observed a pair of golden eagles in California for a while and got interested in raptors
Okay.
and the business of the threatening to the eagle at the time, who's now on the protected list.
Right.
Well, anyway, getting back to the story, so we struggled back to, we struggled back to the medicine wheel, but that was magical, the eagles flying out like that, the pair of eagles. And we all stopped talking, you know, we just,
Right. So I'm seeing precognition here,
uh-huh,
and I'm seeing every event but the 3 witches.
pardon?
The 3 witches.
In your lucid dream that you had
Oh,
about
yeah.
Your arctic-
It's your precognition of things to come. The chickens were the eagles. Okay, the white wolf is self-explanatory.
Okay.
All of that is, like you said, the shed, everything.
Yes.
Where's the witches coming?
Okay, we'll go back to that situation.
Okay.
And that was before I got my name, White Wolf.
Right.
When my husband passed away, I never thought of this before, but when my husband passed away, there were 2 women, my neighbors, and their father. It was a father-daughter-mother relationship. They helped me out a lot with things because I was by myself, and they helped with. They had horses too, and my husband had a horse that I had to sell because I was not riding horses anymore at the time. I was in my 70s, yeah.
Okay.
So they were really good friends
Okay.
for a while. And I gave them I sold them my pickup truck and a part of a portable corral, and I gave them a big deal on everything price-wise because they were my friends, I thought.
Right.
And all of a sudden one morning, this woman decides not to speak to me anymore. And I said, have I said something wrong? No, she would not even answer that. And she turned against me as a friend, so did her daughter and the husband. There are the
the
3.
3 witches.
Okay.
I never thought of this until you just now brought
Right.
that out.
That put it all together, all of the pieces. I'm
Of
an
your dream.
engineer. I need to know the details.
Oh,
I see the
boy.
big picture. I saw that
Yeah.
immediately.
Okay.
Precognition.
Well, I'll tell you what's happened since then.
Okay.
She and what I did was, because I was being more spiritually aware, every morning I went out and I gave a prayer to the sun, and I still do this to all of my friends and all my neighbors and all the people around the world and all the
Okay.
animals, and I did this every day, and I blessed my neighbors. This went on for several years, and so we started speaking to each other again, and now it's resolved
Good.
because we've talked on the phone, and it seems to be over with. That's resolved,
Okay.
Okay.
but that must be what came up.
Okay.
Getting back to the ceremony.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing that happened, I put my shoes on again, is we walked up to the grandmother tree. I remember that. There's a grandmother tree on the property.
Okay.
And I'm trying to,
I have no idea what a grandmother tree is.
A big tree.
there were lots of Native Americans, the history there goes way back hundreds of years, and they used to have ceremonies there as well as it's near Montezuma Well actually, but this was another place where they had a big ceremonial medicine wheel, and the history is all there, and Healing Wolf can relate, she tells all about that.
Okay.
And the place used to be a stage stop too. So the second thing that happened there, we were back in the medicine wheel where we started. And she's speaking some Lakota Sioux, as well as some other things. And it was like she was kind of in a trance. And she says she doesn't remember what she says.
Okay.
But anyway, so the ceremony wound up. And she said that the ancestors were there. And they were blessing me because I was a friend to the wolves and I was helping the wolves.
Right.
And that's my path
Right.
I'm taking, and they were grateful for that and that I should carry on. So she said, she says, I am no longer, I was going to call myself the lone wolf because
Okay.
it was, and she said, they're saying that you are no longer a lone wolf, you are white wolf.
Okay.
And that was, I'm
cool.
still going to cry, but anyway.
That's okay. You can cry.
So then I had a little offering. We were supposed to give an offering in this ceremony, and we couldn't have a real fire because of the fire situation, so dry. So I had a little wolf fur, actually, that I offered. And at that time, she gave me 2 medicine, not medicine bags, but they're like gifts. There's a gift giving part of the ceremony. Bundles, they're medicine bundles.
Okay.
And there were some feathers on the top, 2 large feathers. And then Healing Wolf says, wait a minute, what is this? I did not put this feather here. This feather, and it was a small feather.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like maybe a little falcon
Okay.
feather kind.
Look brown and white.
Yes,
to it.
yes, and I still have it. And she said, I didn't put this here. She says, I have no idea where this came from. And she says she can manifest things, and she does.
Cool.
Yes. So anyway, that was the second magical thing that occurred. The third magical thing was that we had her husband had fixed up a lovely little brunch for us outside on the patio. So we went then to eat. So I looked down on the table and I see this beautiful beaded medicine bag that my friend here had left for me with a beautiful card.
Right.
Now I didn't open the card right away, but I was kind of overwhelmed by everything.
Right.
The day I wore this, I was trying to pick out what to wear on that day, what would be appropriate for
Right.
that ceremony. Well, I have a shirt that's designed with 2 white wolves. They're like painted by an artist by the name of who I cannot remember.
Bergstrom,
Yes,
something like
Bergstrom.
Okay.
Anyway, it's called Wolfgate.
Okay.
So there they are, these 2, and it's like a
Right.
dream catcher thing and all. So I don't wear that shirt very often. She had never seen it because I don't wear it very often. But that's the shirt I chose, and that's the one that I was told to wear.
Okay.
So I wore it. And I opened the card, and there it is, in a card, the art,
The
the
same
same
art.
shirt, exactly.
the painting.
The painting,
Yeah,
well, yes, on the card.
yeah.
This is
So it was like a coincidence, but there's no such thing as
there's no
coincidence.
such thing.
It was all meant to
She's
be.
seeing stuff that hasn't happened yet.
So there it was.
Right.
So I
Precognition.
couldn't
There you
believe it.
go.
Well, okay, that's the magical day, and
Right.
that's how I became White Wolf.
Okay.
And I have gone out there many times and visited with the wolves, and at the time we could go in with the wolves, and so they were like my medicine, and
Right.
we talked to each other, and I was able to actually be close to them, and so were you.
Yeah.
So that's where it stands now. So I'm still working for wolves, and I want to work more for wolves. That's my thing to do.
Right.
It's your passion.
It's my passion, and I've volunteered at Wolf Week in Sedona twice and stayed there a week as a volunteer and given talks. And I've had a few people with wolf dogs in my dog training classes even.
Okay.
So I've been, and I've, like I say, I've read almost every book about wolves, so I can speak intelligently, hopefully, about them.
Right.
So that has become my path. But
Okay.
I don't know how spiritual that is, but I'm helping something in the environment.
And that's spiritual for you, and that's all that
Yes,
counts.
and they are coming back. The
all
wolves
that
are coming back. And recently, from the Center for Biological Diversity in Tucson, sent all of us who, I guess we were signed up on a list somewhere, a whole packet of petitions.
Was it Tucson or Prescott?
It's Tucson,
Oh,
yeah.
way down there.
And I guess they gave us 100 of them. Well, I managed to get about 89 or 90 of those signed. But there was they sent a letter back thanking everybody that participated in this.
Right.
So, you know, I had handed them out to various people and everything. The center said that this was the first time since the Endangered Species Act went into place in 1974, and I had the dream in 75. That's interesting. Anyway, the most response they've ever had to an issue ever, there were like over 1 million people responded to that. They wanted the wolves to remain on the endangered list and not to be delisted to protected.
Right.
And so
The
they've gotten
info-
that far so
Yeah.
far. So that's the thing that means a lot to me. I have a friend who works at Wolf Haven International in Washington State, and I got to meet her on our vacation we took just this last week, and I haven't seen her in years, and she's been there for 10 years as a volunteer,
Okay.
and it was nice to
So
have
you guys are
reunion.
road buddies.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Many, many memories. We've shared many memories.
Absolutely, we have. She's put up with me with so many things. I still eat meat, unfortunately. I do eat chicken and fish,
Right.
basically, and turkey.
But it's organic.
Yeah, usually
Right.
it is.
I try to eat on
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
do
they're
too.
eating crap if you're not.
And
yeah.
I'm a Raptor fan.
Oh.
I've got a
Yes.
guy, and I got him, I guess, 10 years ago. And he talks.
What do you have?
It's a macaw.
Oh,
Oh, how
yes,
So
yes.
it's huge.
Big white?
No, he's blue with a
Oh.
pretty gold
Oh.
and black beak. And,
Wow.
and he talks in my voice,
Oh
and
my
he
God.
talks in her voice, in Olivia's voice,
Who is Olivia?
my wife.
Oh.
So he could talk to
He
you several ways.
Changes his tone to
Right, and he
match
will-
your
Yes, they're
voice.
very good with that.
I let him out of his cage in the mornings, and then I feed him and stuff.
Oh,
And
that's wonderful.
he walks around the house like he
Oh, they
owns it.
do, yes.
And occasionally he'll come up to me and he'll crawl up my leg and climb up and get on my shoulder, and sometimes it sounds like he's trying to sweet talk me,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes he tries to kiss me.
Like your
Mhm.
wife. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and he'll even stick his tongue in between my lips, trying to French kiss me.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
He's something else.
Trippy.
His name is Pharaoh.
Aha.
Oh, yes.
Like an Egyptian pharaoh.
Yes, and I
Oh,
never
that's
got him clipped, so he can fly, and he will fly.
Mm-hmm.
But he stays with us. I
Wow.
take him out, and he'll ride on my
Yeah.
shoulder.
Yeah, we
and,
do
That's
that.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's
you know,
amazing.
so I
So,
know what you mean.
You take him for a ride, did you say, in your car?
I take him for rides, yeah, because I go down to Sedona to get his nails done.
Uh-huh.
When he needs a manicure and a pedi, he gets his little beak trimmed.
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
so he rides on my shoulder, and we walk in there, and
Man's best friend, a macaw.
he's a friend. He's not a pet.
Yes.
He's a friend.
Yeah.
He shares
Man's
stuff
best
with me.
friend.
He loves like chicken wings. I give him chicken wing, and he's so dainty when he eats.
Oh, it
He'll
really
hold
is.
it, and he'll just,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just,
is that?
yeah. I said, what is this? And I said, don't you know that's a bird? You know,
Well,
okay. You know, he just
very
loves it. He
intelligent.
loves chicken.
Okay.
He loves chicken. He loves vegetables. Fruit, obviously.
Yes, they eat
You know,
everything.
so
That's
he's,
great.
Well, I like to-
he's
Well,
what
what
I
a fun,
eat.
what a fun not pet, friend.
He's a friend.
To keep
Absolutely.
you company, see?
He's a friend,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
told he's going to live to be around 80-ish.
And how old is he now?
He should be 12.
Oh my gosh, he's
Yes.
gonna outlive you.
Of course he
They
is.
all-
He's
they do
probably
those
going to
birds.
outlive my
Oh.
kids,
Yes.
and
Oh,
it'll
he's
be
gonna-
one of our grandkids that you know,
Takes
'cause
care of him.
we
Yeah.
started taking a picture with him every year.
Oh.
So he's going to always show up in
Uh-huh.
photos and
While your
yearbooks and
kids
stuff.
and you are growing.
Yeah, and as the family comes and goes, he's going to be
Yeah.
like
So
that
we still
uncle
do
that
that.
won't go away.
That's
No, that's
amazing
great.
that
That's
they can
cool.
live 80
Yes.
years. That's great.
Right.
I had no idea.
He's going to be the stable part of the family.
Cool.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
took-
it's
Where, how
different.
did you come up with the name Pharaoh?
Well, the wife had these little birds. They were, what do you call them things? The ones that you saw on there used to be a show on TV. The guy, it was white and it talked.
A little bird,
Oh,
white talking bird?
Seem to remember that. I can't remember
Yeah.
the name of it, but I do
Well,
recall
anyway,
that.
she had those,
Uh-huh.
and I would go into the pet store, and he would always come over to me and climb up me
oh,
and get on my shoulder.
I
oh,
think-
right from the beginning.
From the very beginning, and there was 4 or 5 of those macaws in there, but
Uh-huh.
only him would come. And I got to the point where when I would come in there, he would come to me. So
Yeah.
I said, well, he's trying to tell me something, and I'm kind of dumb. You know, I'm not figuring this out. So I said, okay, well, I bought him. I bought the cage for him
Oh,
because,
boy.
you know, all of this stuff was, you know, it was kind of expensive, but
Yeah,
but
well, you do that. You
he
know.
came to me. He chose
New
me.
friend. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
So, and I was thinking of, because he does colors, he looks royal. He looks, you know, so I said, well,
Yes.
what's the baddest dude out here? What's better than a king? And that's a pharaoh.
Oh,
Of course.
look at
So
you.
I
Oh,
was-
yeah, that's great.
We
What a
named him
cool
that,
name.
Pharaoh.
Yes.
And, you know,
Well, I named my wolf dog Wolfie Lobeau, Lobeaux.
okay.
And when I was at Wolf Haven last week or so, when we were there, I was able to get. We're going to have a plaque
Okay.
for him with his name and his dates on there,
Okay.
and so forth. Anyway, I wanted to honor him because
Okay.
he was just like your.
Yeah, he's your friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they become family after a while.
Yes, they do.
And you know, you always hear people say they joke about, "Oh, that's my little baby," you know, but he ain't no baby. He's
No.
that big, and when
Is
he
he
opens
really?
up his
Oh,
wings,
he's big. They are
he's
big
huge.
birds. Yeah.
He's huge, you know. And when he's flying, he's scary and he has a really loud macaw voice.
Oh, do they ever? My neighbor had 2
Wow.
of those,
He-
and
When he calls out, everybody in the neighborhood
I can
knows.
hear 'em, that's
And
right.
people have said, "Have you seen that? There's got to be a big bird around here." So that's my bird.
Yeah,
So his wingspan's probably
Right.
like that.
Yes,
huh?
it's like that.
Oh,
When he
it's just
opens
like
up
it. Uh-huh.
and he fans his tail out too,
Oh, yes.
because he cups his wings
Would
to
you
get
bring a
air.
picture of him next time we see
Sure.
you? I'd
And
love to
his
see
feathers
him.
come over his head like this a lot of times.
He can make his
Yes.
hair stand up.
That's what they do.
Yeah, it's like an afro. Okay, he's a brother with an afro. Okay.
Well, I took care of my neighbors, Cliff. He
Right.
had 2 of them, and
Okay.
when they were gone, so I'd go over there. And they had a couple of other little birds too.
Right.
Anyway, his wife had taught the birds to do a song and dance routine.
Okay, I've seen that on YouTube. I don't want to do that.
No. Well, what would happen when I'd take care of them? If I had to start it, they wanted me to start the song that it went with.
Okay.
Well, I'd forget, and I'd take care of them, and see how I had water and food and all this other stuff. And I'd
Right.
leave the house, and I heard all this screeching and yelling and carrying. I had to go back in, and they would not be quiet until I went through this dance routine with them
Okay.
and singing. Then they were okay when I left. Yeah.
That's too cool.
But they were gorgeous. He doesn't have them anymore.
Right.
But they were Beautiful colors, yes.
Right.
And they are a big bird.
Yeah. I'd love to bring him into the center, but
Yeah.
he's gonna do his thing in there. And he's crapped on the back of my shirt
Oh,
before,
yeah,
you know. I said,
yeah,
oh
that
man,
kind of
but
thing, yeah.
that's what they do, you know.
That's
So
the way they are, yeah. It's
Yep.
pretty hard to housebreak them.
I know you can't,
Anyway,
you can't, and I don't want to break it. Okay,
well,
it's my friend.
No.
right.
You know,
Right.
he does
He does
and
what
I
he
do
does.
me.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
That's cool.
and,
Yeah.
and you know, and he has picked up some of our words along the way.
Yes.
So, and when you come in the room or you come in the RV, first thing he says hello, or if it's her, he'll say hello in her voice. Yeah, it's just so cool.
Yeah, I like that. You know, they talk
Yeah,
to me too. And hello.
And
hello.
he never says that unless you're coming in a room. So
Uh-huh.
I know he's aware.
Yes.
You know, there's a level of intellect everywhere you look.
Oh, they're intelligent birds.
You know, so you just okay. You know, we live and learn. He's my friend. I take care of him. You know, you know.
That's great.
Yeah, he's companionship for me sometimes in the evening when because I like that public broadcasting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll sit
Oh,
down
yeah.
and I have a little lounge chair. I'll kick the little lever and the little feet go up, and
Yeah.
I'll be chilling, eating some nuts or something, and he'll come up, he'll crawl up, climb up, and sit down there with me and
Yeah.
ask for food, you know. So
Oh, it's great to have that companionship like that with my wolf. I used to, we had like a little pathway around the perimeter of the acre that we had there, and it was all fenced, of course. But I'd go out at night and jog with him, and he taught me how to do a very slow wolf-like jog, and you never get tired.
okay,
And
pacing it.
yes, and I could do that. Just you know, and he'd be with me, go around and around. We went hiking. Sometimes if I get in a precarious place in the rocks, was always able to get up there, but then I have a hard time figuring out the footing getting back down. And he'd come over and he'd start picking out a way for me to follow him and get us out of that situation. Would you like another cup of tea?
No, I'm thinking.
So,
Do you have any other questions you wanted to ask us? Or
I got a trillion questions,
Oh.
but it's up to you what you want to share. It's always been that way.
cool.
You know, it's
Yeah.
when you're out and about and you come across people, sometimes you just want to be social, and you say something, you know, to
Yeah.
fit the occasion. Sometimes you want to go deeper in it, and you know, it's all up to you. I'm bringing no demands. I'm just your friend. We are up there at the center together.
That's true.
You know, so.
Well, I'd like to share how